The strange egg in the wreckage. The rain poured hard over the jungle ruins. Trees swayed in the wind, and lightning lit up the sky for a second before darkness returned. Daxon pulled his coat tighter around himself. He stepped carefully through the mud, scanning the wreckage of an old alien ship that had crashed long ago. Most had forgotten about it, but not him. He was a scavenger, a human living alone on this wild alien world. The locals called it a death jungle, but for Daxon, it was home. He moved aside a broken metal panel and saw something glowing, a soft blue light. He crouched down. Inside a cracked container was an object he didn't expect to find, an egg. It was smooth, almost glass-like, and bigger than his head. Strange lines moved inside it, like veins. It was still alive. Daxon stared for a while. He should have walked away. Jungle eggs were dangerous. Many contained deadly creatures. But something about this egg felt different. He touched it. It was warm. Suddenly it shook. He stepped back. His hand reached for the blaster at his side. But the egg stopped moving. Daxon looked around. No one else was there, only silence. And rain. With a sigh, he picked it up. Back at his camp, Daxon placed the egg near the fire. The warmth would help it hatch, if it ever did. He didn't know what he was doing, but something inside him said not to let it die. He cooked some meat and placed a small piece beside the egg just in case. Days passed. The egg pulsed with a soft blue light every night. It was alive, but it didn't hatch. One morning, Daxon woke up to a strange noise, a sharp crack. He jumped to his feet, grabbing his blaster. The egg was moving. A long crack appeared down the middle. Blue steam escaped. Then, another crack. Then another. The shell fell open. A small wet creature lay inside, breathing hard. It looked like a mix of lizard, cat, and something else. Its eyes were too big for its face. Its claws were tiny. It made a soft clicking noise. Daxon lowered his weapon. "Hey there, little one," he whispered. The creature turned its head. It saw him and crawled into his lap. He called it Clicks. Clicks was weak at first. Couldn't walk straight. Its legs wobbled. Its cries were soft. Daxon fed it little pieces of cooked meat and warm water. It slowly grew stronger. At night, it curled beside him like a kitten. But sometimes it stared at the jungle outside like it could hear something he couldn't. One night, Daxon heard a noise just outside camp. He grabbed his blaster and stepped out. 3 tribal scouts stood in the shadows. Alien natives with spears and sharp teeth. They watched the egg remains, their eyes wide with fear. One whispered in his language, "You kept the beast egg?" Daxon nodded. "Yes, it hatched. I named it Clicks." "You fool," the scout growled. "That egg was cursed. Long ago those creatures hunted our people. That one should never have lived." Daxon stepped in front of the entrance. "It's just a baby. For now," the scout hissed. "But soon, you won't control it." The 3 vanished into the jungle like smoke. Daxon returned to the fire. Clicks was asleep beside it, breathing softly, peaceful. He sat down, running a hand over its small head. "You're not a monster," he said softly. But deep inside, something made his chest tighten, a question he couldn't ignore. What was this creature really, and what would it grow into? Daxon had raised many animals before, wild birds, broken-winged beasts, even a jungle hound. But Clicks was not like them. Clicks was learning too fast. Just 2 weeks old, the creature could already leap over fallen trees and climb rocks like a shadow. Its claws had grown sharper, its muscles stronger. Its eyes, once large and innocent, now watched everything, even Daxon, with strange focus. But Clicks never hurt him. Instead, Clicks followed him everywhere, through the thick vines, across rushing rivers and up steep cliffs. It would chirp or click when it found something new. Daxon learned to understand those sounds. Hunger, danger, curiosity. He was no longer alone in the jungle. The death world wasn't kind to anything weak. Every day was a fight for survival. Poisoned plants, flying reptiles, and hunters with 6 legs roamed freely. One day, as they walked along a ravine, a bone-spike boar charged out of the bushes. Daxon shouted, reaching for his blaster. But Clicks was faster. In a blur, the creature jumped and struck the boar's neck. Its small claws tore through thick skin like paper. The boar collapsed, squealing, and then it was still. Clicks looked back at Daxon, blood dripping from its mouth. It was proud. That night, Daxon stared at the campfire, quiet. Clicks slept nearby, belly full. The boar hadn't stood a chance. I raised you, Daxon whispered. But what are you turning into? His thoughts were broken by the sound of a voice. Human. He stood up quickly. A tall figure stepped from the trees, alien, armored and armed with a spear. Her skin was pale blue marked with tribal ink. Her eyes glowed orange. It was Princess Vela, heir of the Gentok jungle tribe. You were warned, she said. The creature is forbidden. Daxon didn't lower his weapon. I'm not afraid of old jungle stories. Vela looked past him. Clicks had woken up and was watching her. Silent. Still. That's no story, she said. You don't know what you've brought into this world. Its kind nearly ended ours. Daxon stepped in front of Clicks. I saved it. You made it stronger, she replied. You made it deadly. There was no threat in her voice, only truth. The next morning, Daxon packed supplies and moved deeper into the jungle. Clicks was no longer safe near tribes. For weeks, they lived by rivers and under cliffs where even the sun barely touched the ground. Daxon built traps. Clicks hunted silently. Together, they made the land their home. But something was changing in Clicks. It had begun copying Daxon's moves, how he held tools, how he moved in silence, even how he fought. One day, it used a stick to crack open a shellfish. Another day, it snuck up behind a flying beast and brought it down with a stone. Clicks wasn't just strong, Clicks was smart. One evening, as they returned to camp, Clicks froze. Daxon followed its gaze. In the distance, smoke rose into the sky, thick, black, and heavy. A tribal village was burning. Clicks growled low, its body tense. Daxon grabbed his gear. We need to move. But Clicks didn't move. It looked back at him, and then started walking toward the fire. The village of Torzin stood in silence. Smoke from the fires still floated in the air, and ash covered the ground like gray snow. The warriors of the Gentok tribe had fought hard last night. A rival clan had attacked, burned their homes, and taken food and supplies. Many were injured. Some were gone forever. Princess Vela walked through the wreckage. Her sharp eyes hid the pain in her heart. As heir to the tribe, she was expected to be strong. But inside she was afraid. Their warriors were few. Their walls were broken. If the rival clan returned, they would not survive another night. Suddenly, a deep rumbling growl echoed from the forest. Every head turned. Footsteps followed, slow, heavy, and full of power. Out from the jungle shadows came a figure no one had expected to see again. Daxon, the human. He walked calmly, dust on his boots and a small bag on his shoulder. But it wasn't Daxon that made the warriors freeze. It was what walked beside him. A massive, four-legged creature with dark armored skin. Yellow eyes like fire. Muscles rippling beneath its scales. Claws thick as blades. And teeth. Far too many teeth. The creature stopped at the village entrance and let out a low, shaking growl. The Gentok warriors raised their weapons. "Stay back," one shouted. "It's the death beast!" Vela stepped forward quickly. "Wait!" Daxon raised a hand. "We come in peace." Clicks lowered its head but didn't blink. Its eyes scanned the warriors, judging them. Not scared, just alert. "He brought it here," someone whispered. "He brought the monster." But Vela raised her hand. "He could have attacked from the shadows. Instead, he walked through our gates. The crowd was silent. Vela approached Daxon slowly. Her voice was low. You should not be here. I know, Daxon said. She glanced at Clicks, now still as stone. And yet you brought that. Daxon looked at her calmly. Your village is in danger. I saw the smoke. I know who did this. And you think that thing can help? She asked. Daxon looked back at Clicks. It's not a thing, it's Clicks. I raised him. He won't hurt you. Unless you try to hurt us. Vela stepped closer to Clicks, her body tense. Clicks watched her carefully, tail swaying slowly. Then, unexpectedly, it sat down. The crowd gasped. Vela blinked. He listens to you? He chooses to, Daxon said. The tribe gathered in the main circle. Fires were lit again. Food was shared, even in small amounts. Daxon sat with Vela while Clicks stayed nearby, resting but awake. You've trained? A predator, Vela said softly. No, Daxon replied. I raised a friend. She looked at him. Why come back? We sent you away. I know, he said. But you need help. And Clicks? He didn't want to leave. He's dangerous, she warned. So are your enemies, Daxon replied. There was silence between them. That night, screams came from the edge of the jungle. Everyone jumped to their feet. Another attack? So soon? Warriors ran to the gate, but something strange happened. They found a dead razor beast just outside, one of the creatures used by the rival clan. It had been torn apart, not burned, not stabbed, ripped, crushed, silenced. No one saw what killed it, but all eyes turned to Clicks, calm, quiet, and licking its claws. Daxon stood beside it, arms crossed. Vela stepped out, her voice strong. Did he do this? Daxon only nodded. He knew they were watching. He made sure they wouldn't try again tonight. Whispers spread through the tribe. He's a protector, someone said. He could be our guardian, said another. But an old elder rose slowly. He is not ours. He is his own, and no beast gives it strength for free. All eyes turned to Daxon. Vela stepped beside him. I will speak for him, she said. And if he protects us, I will protect him. The crowd fell silent again. In that moment, the tribe didn't just see a monster anymore, they saw a legend, reborn in human hands, and they saw their princess standing beside him. Night had fallen, but Princess Vela could not sleep. The fire outside her hut was dying. The warriors had gone to rest, but fear still lived in their eyes. The rival clan might return, and even with Clicks nearby, Vela knew they couldn't depend on the creature alone. She stood near her window, watching the jungle. The trees moved slightly in the wind, but her eyes were fixed on one thing, the glow of Daxon's campfire far beyond the village. She made her choice. Silently, Vela took her knife, wrapped herself in a gray cloak, and slipped into the trees. No guard stopped her. She moved like a shadow, the same way her mother once taught her when she was just a girl sneaking out to explore the jungle. But tonight wasn't for fun. Tonight was for desperation. Daxon sat by his fire, sharpening his knife. Clicks lay beside him, tail twitching. The jungle was quiet, but both of them were alert. Something was coming. Then Clicks raised his head and growled, low and soft. Daxon stood. A moment later, Princess Vela stepped into the clearing, her face hidden by the cloak. You followed me? Daxon asked calmly. I came alone, she said, lowering her hood. Clicks stared at her, unmoving. Daxon didn't lower his blade. Why? Vela stepped closer. Because I need your help. Truly. Daxon looked at her for a long time. You already have it. We killed a razor beast last night. She nodded. But that's not enough. My people, they don't trust me anymore. They fear the rival clan will return and wipe us out. Even my council whispers behind my back. And what do you want from me? He asked. I want you to stand beside me when they come. Not just as a fighter, but as proof. Proof of what? She looked straight into his eyes. That the old ways are broken. That strength can come from unexpected places. That peace can come from a human and a beast. Daxon raised an eyebrow. Peace? With clicks? Vela smiled slightly. He listens to you. They listen to me. If we stand together, maybe they'll believe there's another way. Click stood now. Slowly, carefully, he walked over to Vela and sniffed the air near her shoulder. She didn't move. Then something strange happened. Clicks lowered his head and let out a soft, short chirp. Almost like approval. Vela touched the creature's rough skin with her palm. He remembers me, doesn't he? Daxon nodded. He remembers everything. She stepped back. Then there's something you need to know. Vela sat near the fire and took a deep breath. A long time ago, our tribe found a strange nest in the jungle. Dozens of eggs. Your Clicks was one of them. Daxon froze. You knew? My father ordered them destroyed. He said the beasts would bring war. Some obeyed, but one egg vanished before they got to it. Daxon's voice was sharp. And that was Clicks? She nodded slowly. Yes. We never knew where it went. Now I do. Daxon clenched his fists. You tried to wipe out his whole kind. I was just a child, she said. But I remember watching one of them, not attack but run. It cried, it ran, it was afraid. Daxon looked at Clicks, who now rested again. He was always afraid until he had someone to protect him. Vela's eyes were sad. We made enemies we never tried to understand. The fire crackled. For a long moment, they said nothing. Then Vela spoke again. Help me. Not just with strength, but with truth. If we tell them what really happened, maybe we can start over. Daxon shook his head. They won't forgive. Then let them fear us together, she whispered. It's better than dying alone. Daxon looked at her. This was not the proud princess who had once called him a fool. This was a leader. Broken, but brave enough to admit it. He stood, picked up his gear, and nodded once. Clicks rose beside him like a dark shadow. We leave at sunrise, Daxon said. But Vela, if they try to harm Clicks again, they won't, she said. Not if I walk beside him. The field was quiet. Long red grass waved in the morning breeze, glowing under the rising sun. Locals called it blood grass, not just for its color, but for what often happened here. Battles, death, betrayal. Princess Vela stood at the edge of the field, her cloak fluttering behind her. Daxon stood beside her, face calm but serious, and right behind them the shadow of Clicks moved with silent power. The rival clan had come. Across the bloodgrass, figures in bone armor waited. Over 30 warriors. Their leader, Chief Droken, rode, a horned beast twice the size of a man. He raised a hand. The warriors stopped moving. Daxon narrowed his eyes. They're trying to scare us. It's working, Vela said honestly. But I won't back down. She stepped forward. I am Princess Vela of the Gentak, she shouted across the field. This land belongs to my people. You burned our homes. You took our food. You dishonored the laws of the jungle. Chief Droken laughed. His voice was deep like rocks grinding together. Your tribe is weak. You stand with a human and a beast. What is this? A circus? Daxon raised his blaster but didn't fire. Clicks growled behind him. No, Vela said loudly. This is your warning. Drokan lifted his spear. Then give us the fight you came for. The enemy warriors screamed and rushed forward. Vela didn't move. Daxon lifted his blaster, but Clicks leapt ahead first. He flew across the grass like a black storm. The first warrior raised his blade, too slow. Clicks slammed into him, sending the alien flying through the air. Another swung a spear. Clicks ducked and spun, his claws slicing through armor like it was nothing. Two more rushed from the sides. Clicks grabbed one and threw him into the other. Bones cracked. The grass began to turn darker, wet with blood. Daxon fired quick shots, keeping enemies away from Vela. He moved fast, taking cover behind a fallen tree. The rival clan had weapons too, plasma knives and hunting darts, but they couldn't hit Clix. He was too fast, too strong. One brave warrior jumped onto Clix's back. He didn't last long. Clix roared so loud that birds flew from trees miles away. Even the horned beast under Chief Drokan stepped back. Vela fought as well. Her blade was short, but sharp. She blocked and struck, spinning with skill learned from years of royal training. She saw her people fighting too. Gentok warriors had joined from the village. They had followed her call. But even with Clix, they were outnumbered. Daxon saw it too. "We need to end this now," he said. He turned toward Drokan, who still sat high on his beast, shouting orders. "If the chief falls, the rest scatter." Vela nodded. "Then let's take him down." Daxon whistled sharply. Clix turned, blood dripping from his claws. Daxon pointed at the chief. Clix growled and charged. Drokan laughed and threw his spear. Clix dodged, but the weapon scraped his side. A long red line appeared across his ribs. Clix didn't stop. He leapt high into the air, straight at the beast. The horned creature tried to run, but Clix landed hard, knocking both Drokan and the beast to the ground. Dust exploded. Screams followed. When the dust cleared, Clix stood tall over Drokan. One paw pinned him to the earth. The horned beast had fled. Daxon and Vela walked up slowly. Drokan struggled. "You can't rule with monsters." Vela's voice was calm. "No, but we can survive with them." She looked at Daxon. He nodded. They turned and walked away, leaving Clix to finish it. A final roar shook the bloodgrass. And then, silence. The rival warriors dropped their weapons and ran. Some begged for mercy. Others knelt in surrender. The battle was over. The field was red, but the Gentok still stood. And in the center of the field, Clix raised his head to the sky and let out a long, powerful cry. It was not just a roar. It was a warning. The time of humans and aliens had changed. The battle was over, but the jungle was quiet in a strange way. No cheers, no songs. Only the soft sound of wind passing through broken trees and stained grass. The red field still held the smell of blood. But at the center of it all stood three figures: Daxon, Princess Vela, and the beast they all feared, Clix. The rival clan was gone. Defeated. The Gentok tribe had survived. But now came the hard part. What happened next? Back at the village, the elders sat in a circle, faces serious, eyes cold. Vela stood before them, Daxon beside her, and Clix lying just outside the hut, silent but awake. "You brought a predator into our walls," one elder said. "You let it kill on our behalf," said another. "We won," Vela said. "We still breathe." The eldest among them, an old woman with a voice like rustling leaves, raised a hand. "But at what price?" Daxon stepped forward. "Clix isn't a weapon. He's not a tool. He's family." The old woman stared at him. Family? Or master? Silence filled the room. Clix growled softly outside. Vela took a deep breath. "Then let's make it clear." She walked to the center of the circle, her voice strong. "Clix will not be caged. He will not be feared. From this day forward, he is not a beast of war, but a guardian of peace," the elders whispered. "And what of the human?" one asked. "Will he claim power too?" Daxon shook his head. "I don't want power. I just want a place to live, in peace." The old woman narrowed her eyes. "And what do you offer us in return for this peace?" Vela looked at Daxon, then turned to Clix. She walked outside and stood before the creature. He stood up, towering over her. She met his eyes without fear. "I offer a promise," she said. She dropped her sword to the ground. "I swear to protect Clix as he has protected us. No more secrets. No more lies." We walk forward together. Click stepped closer, then lowered his head and placed it against hers. The village watched in silence. The next day, things began to change. Clicks walked through the village freely. Children followed from a distance, curious but no longer scared. Warriors nodded in respect as he passed. Daxon helped repair broken walls. He taught villagers how to use tools from his world: stronger rope, better weapons, clean water systems. Vela led the tribe with new fire. She welcomed ideas, listened more, and punished less. Together, the three of them, princess, human, and predator, formed a strange but powerful bond. But peace never stays quiet for long. One evening, a loud hum filled the sky. Everyone looked up. A ship, not tribal, not from any local clan. It was a sleek silver craft, scientific in design. Clean, cold, human-made. It landed just beyond the trees. Daxon's heart sank. They found us. Vela stepped beside him. Who are they? Researchers, he said. Or worse, hunters. Click stood beside them, eyes glowing in the dark. The ship doors opened. 3 people in clean white suits stepped out. One held a scanner. Another had a containment pod. The third smiled. "We're not here to fight," the smiling one said. "We're here for the creature," Clicks growled. Daxon stepped forward. "You're too late. He's not just a subject anymore. He belongs in a lab," the man said. "We created him. Or did you forget that, Daxon?" Vela frowned. "You knew them?" Daxon nodded slowly. "I once worked with them, until I realized they didn't care about life, only control." The man took a step closer. "You can't protect it forever. It's dangerous." Vela stepped in front of Clicks. Her voice shook the trees. "He's ours now. And if you want him," she drew her blade, "you'll have to go through me." The scientists looked at her, then looked at Clicks, who was now baring his teeth. The smiling man sighed. "Very well, we'll report back, but this isn't over." They turned and walked back into the ship. Moments later, it lifted into the sky and vanished. Daxon let out a breath. Vela sheathed her sword. Clicks nuzzled her hand gently. The people of the village stepped out, watching the stars. The deal had been made. The predator had chosen his pack, and the princess had chosen him. The stars hung low over the jungle, shining like frozen fire in the sky. The village of the Gentok tribe had changed in many ways, but not everything was peaceful. For 3 days, nothing came from the silver ship that had appeared and left just as suddenly. But Daxon knew how humans worked. Silence never meant safety. Princess Vela stood on her wooden balcony looking at the horizon where the trees met the sky. Click sat near her hut, quiet and still, watching the stars. He didn't sleep as much now. He sensed something coming. Everyone did. Inside the council hut, the elders met again. But this time, Vela didn't ask their permission. She gave them a warning. They will come back, with more ships, more weapons. They do not care about our ways, our peace, or our jungle. They want the beast, she said. They want Clicks. The eldest woman asked, "Then what do we do, princess?" Vela looked at her calmly. "We choose what kind of future we want, one where we hide, or one where we stand." That night she found Daxon near the edge of the village, sitting beside Clicks. He was quiet, staring into the jungle as if expecting someone to walk out of the trees. "I used to think I could run from them forever," Daxon said. "But they always follow." "They'll be here soon," Vela replied. "I know." She sat beside him, the firelight soft on her face. "Why did you leave them?" she asked. "I built weapons for them," he said. "Helped them capture creatures like Clicks. I thought I was helping humanity understand alien life. But I saw what they did to the others. Chained, cut open, left to rot when they were no longer useful." Vela nodded slowly. So you took one. I took him, Daxon said. Because he was still alive, and scared, and I couldn't walk away. Fela looked at Clix, who curled up beside them like a sleeping god. Neither can I, she whispered. The next day, the ship returned, but this time, it wasn't alone. 3 more ships floated down like gray birds from the clouds, landing outside the village. Their engines hummed with power. Soldiers in black armor stepped out, helmets covering their faces. Behind them were machines, drones, hoverbikes, scanners. At their front stood the same man from before, the smiling one. Only now, he didn't smile. He stepped forward and spoke into a translator. His voice echoed across the village. We have come for the creature. You have until sunrise to hand him over. No threats, no screams, just cold words. Fela stepped out from her hut, walking alone to face them. She carried no weapon. The villagers whispered. Some wanted to flee, others to fight, but she stood tall. Behind her, Clix appeared, growling low but not moving. Daxon walked beside him, hand on his old blaster. Fela raised her voice. This is not your land. He is not your prisoner. This is your last warning. The man replied, Then you choose war. She said, No, he chooses. She turned to Clix and knelt in front of him. Clix, if you run now, they will follow. If you stay, they will fight. But if you choose to stand, we will stand with you. For a long moment, Clix did not move. Then slowly, he lifted his head, turned toward the soldiers, and roared. The sky shook. The battle began at dawn. Soldiers marched with guns that fired blue light. Drones flew through the air like angry insects, but the jungle fought back. The Gentok warriors moved fast through the trees. Daxon used every trick he knew, traps, ambushes, shadows, and Clix became a storm. He leapt from tree to tree, ripping drones out of the air, slamming soldiers into the ground, roaring with fury. His scales turned darker, as if feeding off the chaos. But he was not out of control. He fought with purpose. To protect, to defend, to choose. The scientist ran for, his ship shouting into his comms. We're losing ground, this shouldn't be possible. He turned, only to see Clix standing on top of the ship. He screamed. Clix didn't kill him. He jumped down, grabbed the man by his suit, and dropped him in front of Fela like a captured insect. Fela looked at him coldly. Tell your people this, he chose us. Now we choose him. Come again and we will not be so kind. The man's voice shook. You think this ends with me? No, she said. It ends with you leaving. By sunset, the ships were gone. The wounded were treated. The dead honored. But something had changed. Not just in the village, but in the jungle. Clix no longer needed to hide. He was no longer feared as a monster. He was a legend. Weeks passed. Peace returned. Hunters and scouts spread news of what happened across other tribes. Some sent gifts, some sent letters. A few even asked if they could visit the beast who chose a human. Daxon spent his days helping build new homes. Viola led her people. With new strength, but not alone. They were a trio now, the princess, the outcast, the predator. One evening, Fela stood at the edge of the river with Daxon. The sky was golden. Clix rested nearby, tail in the water. Why did he choose us? She asked quietly. Daxon smiled. Because we didn't try to own him. Fela nodded. And what do you choose, Daxon? He looked at her. To stay, if you'll let me. She stepped closer. I already did.